So you go to USC, and I had no idea USC students partied like this. I thought they were all Asian nerds and people trying to be like professional screenwriters, like in the, like the film school there. You get into a frat, and this is the beginning of your journey into the drug game. So you're getting hit off by a guy from the neighborhood who puts you on with your first package. So tell us how that grew, and tell us about drug dealing in college.
The drug dealing in college was just to get by, to keep up with the Joneses. I remember reaching out to that homeboy of mine from Northside Redondo and saying, hey, these kids are going through that white girl like no other. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, they're paying $100 a gram. He's like, well, let's get you dialed in. I said, well, I'm not driving it. So you're going to have to drop it off. And he showed up with that styrofoam container that I thought was, he was bringing me a burger and fries. And I opened it up, and I want to say it was like 8 ounces of really good cocaine.
8 ounces?
Yeah.
That's a wild amount of coke to be put on with.
For your first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a half a pound, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then, I didn't know anything about weighing it and tearing the bag and obviously putting a gram in there and putting it on the scale. So he showed me real quick in this van he had. And I said, okay. He goes, here's your gram bags, and here's the product, and here's your scale. Make sure you put it on a flat surface.
And how much were the ounces how much was he charging you for ounces?
At the time, an average ounce would be maybe like 800 to 900 for a regular person. He just fronted to me at 700. So
that's low.
Yeah. So it was 700 and he fronted me 8 at a time. And he's like, you got to market. He says, if they're selling it for 100, why don't we go down to 50? I can't remember, it's been so long if I stuck the number at 60 or 50, but it was between those numbers. And I remember that first day I went to football practice, because at this time I was playing football now. I had walked onto the football team. So I had double days. I had to go in the morning and night. And my college roommate, my fraternity brother, he obviously liked to do some of that white girl as well. So I said, this is how I'm going to incentivize him. I'm going to leave him, all these gram bags laid out, put it in the sock drawer. And I'm going to tell him, every 20 you sell, you get one for yourself, for your services. He's like, oh, I'm cool with that. Right? Yeah. So I think, I can't remember the number, but we went through those 8 ounces in gram bags, I want to say in like less than 48 hours. And
wow.
Yeah. And I came back from football practice, and he's fucking yacked out of his mind. Yeah. He's like, hey, we got a problem. I said, what's the problem, man? He goes, we're all out. I said, well, that's a good problem to have. And I remember seeing his face, and I'm like, well, looks like he's gotten into the bag.
He's
but
dipped in.
I counted the money. It was all there. He was just cutting into his commission.
Wow.
Which is,
so what did you turn an ounce around for? Like, how much did you make off that 8 ounces?
50 times 28, let's 50 times 28, $1,400. So I was doubling up,
wow.
100% markup.
Yeah. So you just made $5,600.
Yeah. Anytime you could do that.
Hours.
Yeah. And coming from that construction worker, you're like, wow, that was the easiest money I've ever made. Yeah. And you got to remember that fraternity house is a bubble.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the police outside, because you're in USC and everything's protected.
And I've said this on the show before, the safest place in the drug chain to be is the guy who's selling the product to the end user. Because if you're selling grams to, even if it's 1,000 kids, they're all sniffing it right there that night, and then it's gone.
It's gone.
They're not going to, very unlikely that they're going to get jammed up by cops.
Yeah.
Unless it's a fluke, and then they turn around and tell on you.
And no college kids getting pulled over by a cop.
No.
It's fraternity row. You're drinking, you're having cocktails, you're with sorority girls, and you're doing blow.
That's
what SC was about, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you keep growing this little enterprise, and you have Molly coming in and ecstasy, and you're just getting the whole fraternity system high, dude. It's wild. This is like your Johnny Depp in Blow. This story really has Johnny Depp in Blow moments.
For sure. I started to structure it like, okay, I'm doing so well in my house. What if I had different guys that work for me in other houses, right? Other fraternity houses. And like, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. We got fraternity row. I'm going to put it in 6 other fraternities, so they don't all have to come here. We don't want all this foot traffic. My room started to be like, knock, 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 2 a.m, guys, drop off the gram bag, get the cash, and it gets annoying after a while, especially when you're playing at the college football level. So I said, we need to spread this thing out. We can't have those fidelts coming over here and knocking on our door. And so we just spread it out through the whole fraternity row, and we had guys in every house selling it for us, and it became this network that paid for my my living. Everyone had American Express black cards. Everyone was driving Mercedes. I was this blue collar kid, and everyone's, dad's a doctor, lawyers, some actors, and you're just like, you can't keep up with this.
Yeah. So, but you must have been making, how much product could you move through all those 6 houses every week?
At one point, I think I made I want to say I made like 30,000 one week. And I was like, dude, this is insane. Like I've figured it out. Right. You're like, okay, now I can buy that Mercedes. And that's what I did. I bought a Mercedes, and I was like, okay, now I'm starting to feel like I fit in. Right.
Right.
I can take that hot sorority girl that's a Delta Gamma with bleach blonde hair. Let me take her out to dinner. Yeah. Let me show her a good time.
Right.
Before it was like I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
I'd go with my fraternity brothers. I'm like, fuck, I can't even pay for this burrito. This is humiliating. Right. And I didn't like that feeling.
Yeah.
I should have gone to another college if I didn't want to feel that way.
Right.
But at the end of the day, who doesn't want to go to USC?
Was this good quality Coke?
It was great quality. At the time, it was probably coming from, I want to say probably Colombia through Mexico.
Yeah.
And, the way I know it was good quality is the people that gave it to me, they're big in the smoking game. So they test it versus high heat versus low heat. And the way they do that is
smoking Coke.
Yeah, they smoke it. So
these gang members you're getting it from?
These gang members are smokers. So I was like, okay, they know what's good. Because if you're smoking it, that shit's got to come back pure.
Right.
It's got to come back high heat right around the 92.9. So it was good Coke. Don't get me wrong. I dabbled and I was like fucking high as a kite.
Yeah.
But everyone kept coming back. They were all going to that street dealer at Arco gas station that was probably stepped on half of it with baby lactose, you know, and he was selling it to these fraternity kids, just racking in $100 a gram. So it's like everyone started to come to my little network.
Right. So you quickly became the biggest drug dealer at that school.
And I don't like to look at it like that because I feel like it was just a business move, right? Like I didn't like.
Well, it doesn't matter if you don't like it. It was a fact.
Yeah, it's just a fact. But where it really got interesting is when the kids wanted to study for an exam, and they're like, "Can you get Adderall?" I said, "Let me go down to Mexico. I can get Adderall down there." Right. So that's where the start of the smuggling pretty much came in.
Right. So you're bringing Adderall. How would you? Yeah,
Xanax and Adderall, and then the performance enhancing drugs for the athletes. So I started bringing it across the border. So it snowballed.
Yeah, I think you made a killing on steroids, right?
Performance enhancing drugs, because you got to remember, when I started playing football at USC, I started taking steroids to try to make the volleyball team because I had just got redshirted, which is like getting put on the bench, basically. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck that. I ain't going to put on the bench. I'm going to play. I came to this school to play volleyball. And when I started taking the steroids to get better for volleyball, I got so big I became a football player. And that's when I got spotted by the USC football coach. They're like, dude, why aren't you playing football? Why don't you come to walk on?
Yeah.
Why don't you walk on?
Which nobody does. Nobody does and successfully actually makes a team.
Well, you got to remember, Johnny, I've never played the game in my life. It was my father and mother like, no way, you're never playing football. That's a dangerous sport. Right. But guess what? I was 19 at the time. I'm an adult. You guys can fuck yourself, right? That's how my mind was. Yeah. Like, I'm playing. I'm going to try, right? I'm going to at least try.
So you're bombing campus with tons of Coke, tons of pharmaceuticals, Molly, steroids, and you're doing a lot of Coke. You're partying hard.
Like a rock star.
Yeah. And you still are working out like a D1 athlete, and you walk on and you make the Trojan football team, who at the time were the like in their heyday, like number one for years, back to back. Yeah.
So I was part of the back-to-back national championship football team, the dynasty, right?
Did you sell Coke to your teammates?
No, I never crossed that line.
Okay.
Because don't get me wrong, we had ways around the steroids, and we would take them. I'm not going to say who took them, but we would take steroids. And I just knew that we got to get off these at a certain time when we get tested, once the season starts.
Right.
So in all honesty, guys aren't taking it. At least my guys aren't taking it while we're playing. We got off right when season started, and we made sure we could test clean. And it worked. I tested clean myself. I got tested.
So you're 19, 20, 21. You graduate when you're 22.
Yeah, 22.
Okay. And you played 2 seasons or 3 seasons?
2 seasons,
Okay.
both the back-to-back years.
And now are you growing your business, or did your business kind of just stay at that level where you would bring in 8 ounces, 16 ounces,
I just kept
and then
it.
just keep it at like a gram
I just kept it small,
operation?
just like I had it. I just wanted enough money to be able to enjoy like the life, right?
Yeah.
I would like to go to Cabo for spring break and get a nice sized room and have some cute girls there and have my fraternity brothers and buy them rounds of drinks and just feel like the man, like you said, right? You're trying to be someone you're not, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's a good feeling to have that camaraderie.
Sure.
You get it with sports, I guess, you know, as an athlete, I got it a lot. Like when I was playing volleyball, it's a brotherhood, right?
Yeah.
And then even more when you play with 110 football players like that, we would take a bullet for each one of our teammates.
Yeah.
That's how it is. And to feel like the man when you go down to Cabo and you're able to actually pay for something that you've never been able to, it was like that was like my high. Like that felt good.
Okay. So you didn't save any of the drug money you made in college?
No, I just used it.
You just used it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you planned on becoming what you became later.
I didn't ever want to. I just was going to use it to pay for my college, because you got to remember, I didn't have any way to make money. You can't go be a waiter or a busboy while you're playing 2 sports and going to school full time. No. So I was like, this is the only way, you know? And then like I said, I graduated and it was all behind me. It's like, oh, that was fun. Right. And you read in the book, I talk about it in the book, like I was at a bar just having a drink and having some Brazilian food, I remember. And there was something that I was missing. You know, it was like that hustle, right? Right. And that drive I had and that way I felt. Like I say hi to a girl and she doesn't even recognize me. But when I said hi to a girl in college and I had the bag, it's like, oh, hey, mister, you know, like, hey, how you doing? Like, you know, like you're the man. Hey, you got the bag, right?
That's that ego and that need for acknowledgement and validation that man just as a species needs. Yeah. But guys like us are driven by that adrenaline, that next hit. It's like a drug addiction.
It is for sure, 100%.
That was a clip from our interview with Owen Hanson. Owen has one of the most unbelievable stories. He was a USC football star who went on to become a drug kingpin working for the Sinaloa cartel. He's got a book out right now called The California Kid. He has a documentary that's going to be releasing on Hulu. And so for contractual reasons, we can't put the full episode out on YouTube, but you can get it on Patreon, patreon.com/TheConnect Show. Make sure to go get Owen's book. It is fascinating. The California Kid. You can get it on his website or on Amazon. Link will be in the description. Thank you.